Listen, if affirmations haven't worked for you up until this point, there's only 3 things that you need to change to make them absolutely work for you. Because they do. And any person who tells you, oh, it doesn't work, it's bad, is full of shit, unless they give the connotation of like, okay, this is how you do it. Because if you get sensory input into your mind that is of the reality that you want to be, it is going to help you. And think of it like this. If you were to do the opposite of affirmations, if you were to do negative affirmations all day, what effect do you think that would have on you? Essentially, it's hypnotizing yourself into low performance, hypnotizing yourself into a bad place of being. That's all that we're trying to do with affirmations. We're trying to shift our place of being into something that is workable for the result that we want, for the life that we want to create. We're trying to be and become that person before we have those external results so that we can actually bring those to ourselves as well. So that being said, here are the 3 things that you need to do and you need to change about the way that you do affirmations, and not just affirmations, guys. It's just a small thing about the way that you live your life as well. So really take these principles rather than just little fads or tricks. The first thing that I have in my little notebook right here is frame. And frame is something that is highly important in everything you do, not just affirmations, guys. But look, frame essentially means the context. A frame to a painting gives the context of what's inside it. The frame could be, this is by a famous artist, or the frame could be, this is a child who threw some paint on the canvas. And it could be the exact same painting, but the one is worth $10 million and the other is worth less than a penny. So the frame really determines the meaning of anything that you do or say. And so a lot of people, when they start doing affirmations and stuff like that, they do it from a frame of like, I'm trying to fix myself, right? Or I'm trying to change myself. I'm trying to have my current health and change that into something else. The human mind naturally is gonna have an inclination to go against change, because what you have currently right now is familiar and therefore safe, because you've survived up until this point. If you want to make this work for you, you need to change the frame in which you're doing it. That needs to become, I already am this. I'm just literally affirming and reminding it to my subconscious so that my body will just be programmed in the same way that I really am. To really explain this a little bit deeper, it's about firstly understanding that you are not your body, you are not your feelings, you are not your mind. You are the consciousness that is aware of all of that. So the only thing you're trying to do with affirmations is like, okay, consciously, the true me, the soul me that I'm operating from, that I know that I want to be this, but my body is programmed to be this because of early childhood events, because of my parents, whatever. That's not your fault. You didn't choose that. So the only thing you're trying to do with affirmations is bring this into your default programming. You get it? You're not trying to change yourself. You're just trying to program the body that you have, your nervous system, your subconscious mind that just runs your autopilot behavior in the way that you want. So don't identify that you're not it. Don't identify with the fact that you're not it yet. Just identify with the fact that you are already it in consciousness. You're just trying to program this machine that runs your day-to-day behavior for you so that your consciousness doesn't have to be there, okay? Because 95% of your behavior goes on autopilot, and that's why it's so vital to do this mental work so that all your behavior and the way in which you conduct that behavior, all your actions, the volume and the quality of those actions comes from your initial mindset. That's really the first thing, guys, like the frame on which you do this. If you're trying to fix yourself with affirmation, if you're trying to change yourself like that, it's not gonna work, because then every time you say that, you're just consciously really reaffirming the underlying assumption of I'm not it. And then you're just not gonna be it, because if you're doing it from that frame, then you're getting those insecure feelings, you're getting those bad feelings whilst you're saying it, and that does have the opposite effect, right? So that's the first thing to fix, the frame on which you do it. Do it from the correct frame. And once again, this is a life principle. Any self-help book that you read, that you conduct in, anything you do, come at it from the right frame of mind. Don't come at it from the frame of like fixing myself. Don't come at it from the frame of I need this one thing before I can take action. That's the same thing with affirmation. Like I need to say 1,000 affirmations first before I can go and do this uncommon, before I can make this cold call, before I can do this. No. Okay, you can shift right now before doing that, before doing any of that, okay? Shift literally like that, just by choosing to shift into a place of certainty, to shift into a place of confidence, to shift into a place of proactiveness. You can use those affirmations to speed up the process of making it your new default. So you can make that shift already. That requires a slight bit of conscious effort, awareness, and then the affirmation is simply to program it in your subconscious so it becomes automatic, easy, and the default. The second one, emotions. So you gotta understand that affirmations are language. It's words. And if you wanna make those words work for you, you're gonna have to get it down into your mammalian brain and into your reptile brain, your subconscious mind, part of your brain that is the same as the one of a dog, essentially. That is the emotional center of the brain, and that controls your feelings much more than your neocortex, which is obviously the thinking part of the mind, which is only about 5% of the power of your mind. So you want to get these new belief systems down into your subconscious, down into your mammalian brain. And what you got to understand is that your mammalian brain doesn't actually understand any fucking language. Okay, try talking to your dog. I recently got a dog. Even though I say to him sit and he sits, he doesn't say that because I say sit. I might as well say fuck and he's gonna sit down. Because it's just about the actual energy that I bring over. It's about the visual, it's about the snap, the context that he associates having to sit down and then getting a reward. That's how the mammalian brain thinks. And you wanna treat yourself as a dog, essentially. Don't take that personal. If you do that, then you're gonna program your mind much faster because once again, your dog can't hear language. But what can your dog hear? Your dog can associate visual experiences to a reward, and it links those things together, like the Pavlov dogs, if you've ever heard of that experiment. And so you can train yourself in this way as well. If you use a lot of feelings, use a lot of visual sensory stimulation, then it goes into your subconscious, it goes into your mammalian brain much more quickly, right? So how you can connect this to affirmations is simply when you say it, you really visualize yourself being that thing, right? You see yourself in a context and you feel it and you really emotionally experience that affirmation when you say it. The affirmation itself doesn't do that much. It does help you focus, it does help you prime your mind for it, but if you just really feel it and be it in that moment, then it really goes into your nervous system. And that's what you want to be doing. Secondly, the reward, right? If you see it and you associate positive reward to that, right? You see a reward in the action that you take from that affirmation, that also will make it link more quickly, and then you can take a little action and reward yourself if you take an action from that place. And then the third one is evidence. This is something that you want to tie into affirmations, right? So if you do these affirmations in the two previous things that I have told you, then it's going to prime your subconscious mind to act from a certain place of being. And that is going to produce new thoughts, new actions, and therefore new results. What you want to do is you want to have a focus on those results, and you want to bring those in so that you connect that to the new place of being, right? You connect those two because now you're building evidence that you really are that. So for example, you want to be more courageous, and then you took an action, like even if it's very small, smiling and waving at a stranger. You want to then lock that in, like, oh, I did that, and you want to write it down, right? Maybe in a notebook, like you want to write down all the actions that you did, and then you can combine it with doing those affirmations the next morning, like I am courageous, and then you can say also because I smiled at a stranger, because I did this, because I did that. It's really actually events and experiences that build belief systems. Affirmations is just a way to guide it and kind of prime your mind for it and build those experiences up. So if you combine those two, it's going to happen much more rapidly because that really gives you a lot of certainty, right? Having those experiences. Focus on those, and you can even create certain experiences to be able to align with that affirmation that you're trying to make your reality. And so you can say to yourself, okay, what's one action I could take today that would come from this place of being? And whilst I take that action, also actually come from that place of being. And then write that action down and then visualize that action again and again. So you make from one experience, you make 100 experiences. Once again, it's combining the visual, the affirmations, the experiences, emotional thing, and the reward, and all of those things together to make it work. That is how the mind works, and that's what triggers the mind to change. I'm gonna be honest, it can take a lot to actually really change because you've been programmed. People that say it's super easy, I would say that's making it oversimplified. And I like to simplify things down a lot, but you do gonna have to be consistently doing these things to be able to make it your new default. Once again, you can change like that with a snap of a finger by choosing to shift into a new place of being. The only thing that's gonna take a little bit more effort is making it your new default so that it doesn't take any conscious effort anymore. The thing that I always compare it to is something like physicality, right? If you do boxing, I've spoken about this in different videos too, and your natural stance is like this. That's not the most workable stance usually for boxing. And now you're gonna have to learn to keep your hands on your chin, right? And move your head or whatever your style may be. Let's take that as an example. If we do that for the next hour, you're gonna keep getting your hands back here because that was your default in an instant, like that, right? And you don't need to do 10 years of trauma healing to do this, right? You even need to say affirmations to do this. Ultimately, it's just about making it your new unconscious habit. And that is, affirmation is simply a tool to make that happen more quickly, which is more effective for the result, which is not getting knocked the out or getting the result that you're looking for in life. So, listen, my friends, I hope that helps. Realize that this shit does work, but look at it from a holistic perspective, just like you do with everything in life. Okay, what is the effect of this on every area? How do I tie other things into it to make it happen more quickly? And what frame do I enter doing this from? The context and the intention behind things is always super important, right? If you're going into anything, with a certain intention to fix yourself or to have someone else complete you or whatever, like then it's not gonna work. Like if you, for example, really love someone else, right? Like you have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, and you really love that person. If it's actually coming from a place of lack yourself, then it's actually a negative. Whereas if it's coming from a full place, then it's a positive, right? So the intent and the context of the action matters a lot. You can't just say affirmations don't work, affirmations do work, they're bad, they're good, whatever. It's the context of it, it's the intention behind it, it's the frame in which you enter it, and it's the things that you combine it with and how you actually do it, which actually is pretty logical. Common sense is not common practice these days. So I'll see you in the next one.